Welcome to day 5, our last of our study of the books of 1st and 2nd King. Israel, the northern kingdom, they met this powerful kingdom which is Assyria. Assyria is a ruthless civilization in history of the world. Even in the history of West Asia, they are known for being great warriors. They are known for their chariots. Because Assyria is a ruthless kingdom, very strong and powerful nation, it says here that Hoshea, the king of Israel, became a vassal. That means he allowed himself to be under the king of Assyria. But the king of Assyria found treachery in Hoshea. Therefore, it angered the king of Assyria. So, the king of Assyria shut him up and bound him in prison. The king of Israel was bound by the king of Assyria in prison. And the king of Assyria invaded all the land, came to Samaria for 3 years, and he besieged it. Now, this is the start of the fall of the northern kingdom, the fall of Israel. The king of Assyria conquered it. In fact, they took all of the people there. So the king of Assyria took to exile the people of Israel and replaced them with foreigners. So this eventually happened to the king of Judah as well. This did not just happen in Israel. Israel fell first to the king of Assyria. Eventually, Judah, who remained standing strong for a while, they fell too. Not to the king of Assyria, but to the king of Babylon. And the king is named Nebuchadnezzar. What he did also, he took the people of Judah out into exile. See the tragic thing that happened here. This is the punishment that the people of God deserve for turning away from God. What's our principle here? A good and loving God is not just gracious, but is also fair and a disciplinarian. Yesterday we talked about the graciousness of God. Not because we deserve it, but because He is faithful. And yeah, He is gracious because He is faithful. But He is also good. He is also loving. And being good and loving means that you're not just gracious, you will not just let go of the mistakes. You will be fair. You will be just by executing punishment. And this, the fall of Israel to the king of Assyria, the fall of Judah to the king of Babylon, to Nebuchadnezzar, this is the punishment that they so deserve. We did not deserve God's grace. They did not deserve God's grace. This is what they deserve. Now sometimes, when we say, life is unfair. Today, we're suffering from pandemic, from COVID-19. It's not fair. It's not fair. We can say that we don't deserve it. We only say that we don't deserve things if we only focus on the little things in our lives. But if you look really on the big picture, how sinful we are. Every sin that you've committed, every sin that I have committed, that we have committed, every little sin that we do, it's punishable by death. Because we're sinning against God. Not against man, not against people, not against ourselves. We're sinning against God. Every little sin deserves death. If God will just be fair, all of us will be dead. Now that is fairness. See, if we receive every little unkind treatment, every small thing that we receive, we say it's unfair. No, in fact, that's just being fair. What is unfair is when we get grace, we receive mercy, because that is not fair. That is not what we deserve. If God will just be fair, we all deserve to die, we all deserve the punishment. And this does not mean that God has forsaken His people. Because remember, He's still gracious, He's still faithful. Now this suffering that they experience, it will last for a while, but it's not forever. There is hope. And God continuously sent people, Isaiah, Jeremiah. God continuously sent prophets to the people of God to remind them that don't worry, there is hope. God is just, God is fair, but He is just a disciplinarian. He's just disciplining you. He's just teaching you a lesson. There is hope. Eventually, He will take you out of that misery. Eventually, He will take you out of that suffering. But first, you must remember a lesson. So every time we suffer, every time we're going through trials, difficulties, we must think, what is God teaching me? Because once you learn the lesson, God will take you up.